or high. Belgium, the state which is in the northwest of Europe. The area -30528 km. Population -11,414,214 people. The capital, Brussels. Borders on the Netherlands, in the east and the north, on Germany, in the southeast, on Luxembourg, and on France, in the south and the west. It is washed by the North Sea in the northwest. The form of government, the constitutional parliamentary monarchy, a form of the administrative territorial device, federation. Official languages: French, Netherlands and German. Monetary unit Euro. Belgium, the member of the Union. 1945. The IMF. 1945. IBRD. 1945. The Council of Europe. 1949. NATO. 1949. EEC. 1958. Since 1993, the U. OD. 1961. CG. 1975. Since 1995, Aussie. The UDO. 1995. The Schengen Area. 1995. The Eurozone. 1999. Historically, Belgium was a part of the area known as Lower Earth, the region, a little larger than the modern Benelux countries, which parts of northern France and West Germany also entered. The name of the country comes from an ethnonym of the Celtic tribe, a Belga, which gave the name of the Roman province of Belgica. Gallia Belgica. Formed in the 16th year BB. The name of the state comes from the name of the tribe of Belg, the Celtic origin inhabiting this territory at the beginning of our era. In 54 BB, the area in the north of Gallia corresponding to modern Belgium was won by Julius Caesar's troops, also described Celts in Commentari di Bello Gallico. From the consul's notes about Gallic War. A half of Belg was killed, the others became slaves. After fall of the Western Roman Empire in the 5th century, the Roman province Gallia was won by the German tribes of Franks, which created here the kingdom. In the 13th, 14th centuries, the territory of Belgium was the arena of fight between England and France. In the Middle Ages, Belgium was a part of the Burgundian Duchy. 1477-1556, dynastic marriage of Maria Burgundskaya entered the Burgundian possession into structure of the Sacred Roman Empire. 1556-1713 as a part of Spain. 80-year war laid the foundation for isolation of territories of Belgium from the Protestant Netherlands. 1713-1792 as a part of the Sacred Roman Empire as the Austrian Netherlands. 1792-1815 as a part of France. 1815-1830 as a part of the Netherlands according to the decision of the Vienna Congress. However, many in Belgium were dissatisfied with violent association with the Netherlands. First of all, the French-speaking population and Catholic clergy, which were afraid of strengthening of a role according to Dutch and Protestant faith. On September 23, 1830, the Belgian Revolution, and the same year Belgium came out structure of the Netherlands Kingdom and gained independence. Belgium becomes the neutral kingdom led by Leopold I, the king since 1831. In the 19th century, national economy very intensively developed. Belgium became the first country of continental Europe where the railroad was constructed. Mechelen-Brussels, 1835. At the end of the 19th century, Belgium became the colonial power. In 1885-1908, Congo. Nowadays, the Democratic Republic of the Congo was possession of the Belgian King Leopold II, under the name Independent State of Congo. Operation of colony was one of essential sources of accumulation of the capitals and development of the industry of Belgium. Since 1908, the colony receives the name the Belgian Congo. The king transfers the possession to use of Belgium. Belgium strongly suffered during World War I, which in this country is still called Great War. Though the sea part of the country was occupied, during all war the Belgian and English troops held the small part of the country clamped between the North Sea and the Yser River. The history of the city of Ypres is tragic. During war it was almost completely destroyed. Here for the first time in the history of wars poison gas, chlorine, were applied. The outright applied 2 years later was called by name the city. On April 3, 1925, the contract between Belgium and the Netherlands on revision of the contract of 1839 is signed. Cancellation of a long neutrality of Belgium and demilitarization of the port of Antwerp. 1940-1944. In the years of World War II, Germans occupy Belgium. The government flees to England. The King Leopold III is deported to Germany. He signed the Act of Capitulation on May 28, 1940. Introduction in Belgium. The German military of management under command of the General von Falkenhausen. On September 3, 1944, Brussels was freed by the English troops. On February 11, 1945, the government led by the Right Socialist Van Acker is formed. On April 4, 1949, Belgium enters NATO. 1957, the entry of Belgium into the European Economic Community. EEC. On July 31, 1993, the King Baudouin died. The throne was succeeded by his younger brother, Albert II. 2001, the birth of the first child of the Crown Prince Philip and his spouse Matilda, continuation of a dynasty. 2003, as a result of parliamentary elections, Guy Verhofstadt becomes the Prime Minister again. In 2003, Belgium became the second state in the world which legalized same-sex marriages, after the Netherlands. On January 12, 2006, Belgium, the chairman of Organization for Security and Cooperation in Europe, OSCE. On December 19, 2008, the Prime Minister of Belgium, Yves Leterme, because of the scandal connected with sale to the largest Belgian finance company, Fortis, resigned. The post of the Prime Minister of the country was held by Herman van Rompuy, the leader of Flemish Christian Democratic Party. The new government of Herman van Rompuy included representatives of the same 5 political parties who were directed by his predecessor. On June 13, 2010, there took place early parliamentary elections, but formation of the government didn't happen. Belgium celebrated 540 days without the government, having set this a world record. On December 6, 2011, the new cabinet led by Elio Di Rupo took the oath to the king. Belgium constitutional monarchy. From the moment of education and the federal state. Since 1980. The head of state, the king, now, Philippi. Since July 21, 2013. About $14.5 million were allocated for the maintenance of the royal family from Treasury in 2005. The head of the government, the Prime Minister, now, Alexander De Croo. Since October 1, 2020. As a rule, the representative of the party which gained the bigger number of votes in parliamentary elections becomes the Prime Minister. The government is appointed by the king, he approves laws, has the right to dismiss parliament, appoints ministers and judges of all instances. Also, the structure of the government has to be approved by parliament. The constitution demands observance in the government of language parity. A half of ministers has to be representatives of Nederlands-Kwazichnyi community, a half representatives of French language community. Federal Parliament two-chamber. The lower house of Parliament, the House of Representatives. Kamer van Volksvertegenwoordigers. Chamber des Representants. The upper house, the Senate. Both chambers are chosen by direct vote every 4 years. All citizens of the state who reached 18-year age have the right to vote. 71 deputies, from which 40 are chosen direct universal suffrage, and 31 regional parliaments sit at the Senate. In the House of Representatives, -150 deputies elected by a direct vote. Belgium, the federal state sometimes called by double federation, as Belgium is divided at the same time into 3 regions and 3 language communities. C. Administrative division. The zone of responsibility of regions includes a management of local economy, public works. For example, road construction, environmental issues, etc. Is zone of responsibility of language communities, first of all the questions connected with culture including education, scientific activity and sport. Each region and each language community have the parliament and the government, however by agreement the parliament and the government of the Flemish region and Nederlands-Kwazichnyi community were joined. Thus, in Belgium there are 6 governments and 6 parliaments. The federal government is responsible for coordination of actions of other 5 governments and also for questions of nationwide importance, somehow. Defense, foreign affairs, nationwide economic and monetary policy, pensions, healthcare. Judicial authority is organized in the form of a pyramid which basis in civil justice is the magistrates' court. Justice de Paix. Verdichter. And in criminal justice, police courts. Tribunal de Police. Politiekbank. Available in each judicial canton. Canton Judiciaire. Gerechtelijk Canton. And a top court of cassation. Cour de Cassation. Hof van Cassatie. Belgium is divided into judicial cantons and judicial districts. Each judicial district Arrondissement judiciaire. Gerichtelijk arrondissement. As court of first instance. Tribunal de premier instance. Rechtbank van eerstandelijk. Consisting of chamber on civil questions. Chambers civils. Kamer voor burgerlijke zaken. Chambers on criminal questions. Chambers correctionels. Kamer voor strafzaken. And chambers on youth questions. Chambers de la jeunesse. Kamer voor jeugdzaken. Labor courts. Tribunal du Travail. Arbeidbank. And trade courts. Tribunal de Commerce. Rechtbank van Koophandel. Also there are 5 courts of appeal. Cour d'Appel. Hof van Beroep. Consisting of chamber on civil, trade and economic problems. Kamer voor burgerlijke zaken, handels en economische zaken. Chambers on criminal questions. Kamer voor strafzaken. Chambers on youth questions. Kamer voor jeugdzaken. And labor chambers. Cour du Travail. Arbeidshof. In Brussels, Liege, Mons, Ghent and Antwerp, and in each province, jury. Cour d'assises. Hof van Assisen. Besides control chamber and the state council. Conseil d'État. Raad van State. In Belgium is available the Constitutional Court. Cour constitutionnelle de Belgique. Grondwettelijk Hof van België. Created in 1983 for settlement of the conflicts in a case of their emergence between various institutes of the Federal Authority of Belgium. Belgium is included into 70 international organizations. Belgium entered the European Economic Community (EC) on March 25, 1957. It is also a member of NATO since 1949. After federal elections on June 10, 2007, parties of liberals and Christian socialists unsuccessfully tried to create the national government. Federal. The French-language parties operating in poorer south of Belgium. Wallonia. Opposed to expansion of autonomy of regions, what the Flemish parties representing richer northern part of the country just tried to obtain. Half a year ran the country the technical government led by Guy Verhofstadt. On March 20, 2008, after 3 months of negotiations, Yves Leterme became the Prime Minister of the new coalition government, which included 5 parties. 2 Flemish and 3 of French-speaking Wallonia. In parliamentary elections on June 13, 2010, the largest number of votes and seats in the House of Representatives, the Nationalist Party received the new Flemish alliance led by Bart de Wever. The second place was taken by Socialist Party of Wallonia led by Elio Di Rupo. The last elections to the Chamber of Deputies took place on May 25, 2014. The results are as follows. In Belgium, in parallel, there is a double system of administrative division. Belgium is divided into 3 regions, 2 of which are divided into provinces. Flemish region. Province Antwerp. Province Limburg. Province East Flanders. Province Western Flanders. Province Flemish Brabant. Walloon region. Province of Hainaut. Province Liege. Province Luxembourg. Province Namur. Province Walloon Brabant. Bruxelles Capital Region. In parallel with it, Belgium is divided into 3 language communities. Flemish Community. Flemish Region and Bruxelles Capital Region. French Community. Walloon Region and Bruxelles Capital Region. German Language Community. Part of the Province Liege. The territory of Belgium is divided into 3 geographical areas. The coastal plain. Low Belgium, up to 100 m above sea level. In the northwest, the Central Plateau. Central Belgium, 100–200 meters above sea level. And the Ardennes height in the southeast. High Belgium, 200–500 meters above sea level. Low Belgium is generally sandy dunes and polder. Polderomie is called by the low grounds, not necessarily below sea level, which are under the threat of flooding and protected from floods by dams or, is farther from the sea, fields with drying channels. Poldera differ in fertility of soils. Between the western polder, Lis and Scheldt, the Flemish lowland, places the Schalmlione area with sandy soil lies. Behind the Flemish lowland the geographical Kempen area is located. The Kempenski landscape generally consists of coniferous forests, meadows and cornfields. Central Belgium, the area between Kempen and Sambre and Maas's valleys. It is area of the clay plains which are gradually raising at the movement towards Sambre and Maas. Here the most fertile soils of Belgium are located. Due to the developed urbanization of this area, natural landscapes are rare. However, to the south from Brussels the beech and wood of 5,000 hectares still remained. Zonninwoud. Fort des Zeugens. The territory of the province of Hainaut and the geographical area belongs to central Belgium. Haspingu. La Hesbaye. South of the province Limburg and north of the province Liege. These fertile lands are generally busy with arable lands and meadows between which big rural estates. Farm. Lie. High Belgium differs first of all in low population density and abundance of the woods. Because of a mountainous relief, agriculture isn't developed here, but this region attracts numerous tourists. High Belgium begins to the south from valleys of the Sambre and Maas rivers. At once behind valleys of these rivers the geographical Condroz area begins. Condroz. Low hills 200–300 meters high. Parts of the provinces of Hainaut, Liege and Namur belong to this area. Further Ardennes, high hills is located. Even low mountains. Ardennes is generally covered with the wood, and the roads curling the Serpentine connect among themselves small villages at which residents still in the coarse the Walloon dialect. The highest point of Ardennes, and all Belgium. The mountain Betrans. Betrange. 694 meters above sea level. In the northern part of Belgium, under a powerful Mesocaenozoic sedimentary cover, there is a Precambrian crystal base. At the movement on the south, the base is bared by places on valleys of the rivers, and in the south of the country leaves in the form of Jutsinski folded constructions which underwent strong denudation. In the north of Belgium, as a result of numerous influence of melt glacial water, the loess is widespread. Minerals. Coal. In Campin and on valleys of the Maas rivers and Sambre. Lead, zinc, copper, antimony. Ardens. Granite, sandstone, marble. Climate of Belgium, the temperate sea, oceanic climate characteristic of all Western Europe. The soft and rainy winter and not hot rainy summer is characteristic of climate of Belgium. Weather is usually cloudy. Snow happens in Belgium seldom, in some years doesn't drop out at all, in the winter sometimes there are frosts. Cool summer. The cyclonic nature of weather is characteristic of Belgium. A heat, the unusual and short occurrence. Boars, fallow deer, roes, hares, squirrels, forest mice meet mainly in Ardennes. Partridges, woodcocks, pheasants, ducks are found in marshy thickets. Belgium, the advanced post-industrial state. The basis of the economy, services sector. First of all, transport and trade. And the industry. Advantages. One of the most significant producers of steel products and textiles. Flanders is the leading region in high-tech industries, Antwerp the world center of trade in diamonds. Advanced chemical industry. Well-educated and well-motivated multilingual labor with high performance of work. The attractive place for the American multinational corporations. Good water transport network through the North Sea, access to rain from Antwerp to Ghent. Weaknesses. The public debt, about 87.7% of NIPD, much more exceeds the maximum permissible level of 60% in the Eurozone. Data of 2006. In some regions, a large number of the chronic and unskilled unemployed. Frequent exit of workers to early pension, because of what high level of the state pension payments. It is more than bureaucracy, than on average in the EU. Belgium is included into the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development. OED. Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development, the OED. To the European Union, EU. The country became the first DIC of the European Currency Union in 1999. Production of steel, cement and chemical products is generally concentrated in the valley of the Sambre and Maas rivers. The largest industrial cities, Mons, Charleroi, Namur and Liege. Earlier in this area coal mining was also conducted, but in the 1980s the last mines were closed. The center of the steel industry, Liege. Products of chemical industry, fertilizers, dyes, pharmaceutical substances and also various plastic. The center of the petrochemical industry is located in Antwerp. In Brussels the headquarters large chemical and the Solvay pharmaceutical company is located. The textile industry which arose in the Middle Ages includes processing of cotton, linen, wool, synthetic fabrics. Some of the most important types of products of the textile industry: carpets and blankets. The main centers of the textile industry: Ghent, Kortrijk, De Tur, Verviers. Brussels, Bruges and Mechelen are known as the ancient centers of production of lace. Flemish lace. Other industries: processing of diamonds. First of all, in Antwerp, production of cement and glass, woodworking, the food industry. There are several automobile productions. The main import goods: food, cars, the rough diamonds, oil and oil products, products of chemical industry, clothes and textiles. The main export goods: cars, food, iron and steel, the processed diamonds, textiles, plastic, oil products and non-ferrous metals. In 1970-80 the economic center of the country moved from Wallonia to Flanders. It is connected with decline of the traditional branches of economy of Wallonia, coal mining and ferrous metallurgy. Now coal mining is stopped absolutely. The metallurgy remains important branch of economy, though its value strongly decreased. Now the economy of Flanders receives more investments. In Flanders much attention is paid to applied scientific research, English research and development. Unemployment rate in Wallonia is twice higher than in Flanders. Primary branch of power: atomic. In Belgium there are two NPEPs, one near Antwerp, another in the region of Uy. Now 75% of the electric power in the country are produced on the NPP. Belgium has the developed transport system. The Antwerp port, the second largest port in Europe. The inland transport is also well developed. The products of agriculture make only 1.4% of DDD as of 2006. However, tell such low indicator not about poor development of agriculture and about strong development of other branches of economy. The major plants: wheat, oats, rye, barley, sugar beet, potatoes and flax. Livestock production, generally cultivation of cattle and pigs. Such traditional branches of the food industry as brewing and production of cheese are closely connected with agriculture. As of 2006, income per capita was $31800. Despite a considerable share of the heavy industry in structure of economy, services sector made 72.5% of DDD. As of May 2017, the average amount of compensation in Belgium is €34.01. $3,821.72 gross. And €21.70. $2,438.35 net. In a month. As of January 1, 2019, the minimum wage in Belgium makes €1,562.59 a month. Gross. And €14.72 net. In a month. Dynamically developing and dense Belgian railway system induced the large companies, such as La Brugis et Nivelles, being Office of Bombardier Transportation now, to develop special new technologies. The contribution to development of science and technology of Belgium can be tracked throughout all history of this country. In the 16th century, the southern Netherlands became known for the scientists, such as cartographer Gerard Mercator, anatomist Andreas Vesali, herbalists Rembert Dodens and mathematician, engineer Simon Stewin entering the category of the most influential in scientific environment. In the first half of the 17th century, the Walloon method of production of Prutkvi iron extended in Sweden, and was used there for 260 years. Economically important underground coal mining during the Great Industrial Revolution needed highly skilled specialized researchers in the field of mining. The end of the 19th century and the 20th century were marked by significant progress of Belgium in applied science and in theoretical basic researches. The chemical engineer Ernest Gaston Solve and the engineer Zenob Tfo Graham gave the names to scientific concepts. To Solve's process and Graham's dynamo car in the 1860th. To George's Lemaitre authorship, along with other scientists, is attributed to the theory of the extending universe. 3 Nobel Prizes on Physiology and Medicine, 1 Nobel Prize in Chemistry and 1 Nobel Prize on Physics were awarded to Belgians. To Jules Borda, for the opening connected with immunity. 1919. To Corny Heymans, for opening of a role of sinus and arthal mechanisms in breath regulation. 1938. To Albert Claude, Christiane de Duve, to George Pallotta, for the opening concerning the structural and functional organization of a cage. 1974. To Ilya Prigogine, for works on thermodynamics of irreversible processes, especially for the theory of dissipative structures. 1977. To François Engler, for theoretical detection of the mechanism which helps us to understand origin of Massachusetts of subatomic particles, confirmed recently with detection of the predicted elementary particle in experiments of Atlas and Siemens on the Large Hadron Collider in CERN. 2013. Agency Pyramid of the population of Belgium for 2020. Population density on the regions of Belgium as of 2019. Belgium. Red tok Cabersozni tok Kagent Krasny tok Konferpenkrasny. Flemish Rombis. The population of Belgium makes about persons as of January 1, 2020. Practically all population of Belgium city minus 98.1% in 2021. Belgium differs in dense population. 342 persons on km. Conceding in this parameter in Europe only to the Netherlands and some dwarfish states such as Monaco. The dense population over the country is observed in the area limited to the cities of Brussels, Antwerp, Ghent, Leuven. A so-called Flemish Rombus. The lowest population density in Ardennes. Province Luxembourg. In 2010 the population of the Flemish region was about 6,251,983 people, including the most densely populated cities of Antwerp. 483,505. Ghent. 243,366. And Bruges. 116,741. The population of Wallonia was people, including the most densely populated cities of Charleroi. 202,598. Liege. And Namur. 108,950. In Brussels 1,089,538 people live in 19 capital district municipalities, 3 of which, the Anderlecht, Brussels and Schaerbeek, total more than card inhabitants. Age and sexual structure of the population of Belgium. 0-14 years. 17.22%. Boys 1,033,383 / girl 984,624. 15-24 years. 11.2%. Men 670,724 / women 642,145. 25-54 years. 39.23%. Men 2,319,777 / women 2,278,450. 55-64 years. 13.14%. Men 764,902 / women 775,454. 65 years or also more senior. 19.21%. Men / women 1,263,109. Indicators for 2020. General indicator. 41.6 years. Men. 40.4 years. Women. 42.8 years. Indicators for 2020. Growth of population. The population from 2020 to 2021 grew by 0.59%. Birth rate coefficient. 11.03. Mortality rate 9.71. Net migration in Belgium makes 4.58 migrants on 1,000 inhabitants. The 25th place in the world, by data for 2021. Ratio from total number, 0.97. As of 2020. Indicators of child mortality. General indicator, 3.24 death of /1,000 births. Male, 3.68 death of /1,000 births. Female, 2.78 death of /1,000 births. According to 2021. The average expected life expectancy. General indicator. 81.65 years. Men. 79.02 years. Women. 84.4 years. As of 2021. General indicator of fertility. As of 2021, on average one female resident of Belgium has 1.77 children. The similar indicator for 1994 was 1.50 children. Two main groups, the making population of the country, Flemings. About 60% of the population. And Walloons. About 40% of the population. Flemings live in 5 northern provinces of Belgium. See Flanders. And speak Dutch in its numerous dialects. See Dutch in Belgium. Walloons live in 5 southern provinces making Wallonia speak French, Walloon and some other languages. According to data of the World Factbook, the ethnic structure of the population of Belgium as of 2012. 75.2% Belgians, 4.1% Italians, 3.7% Moroccans, 2.4% the French, 2% Turks, 2% Dutches, 10.6% other ethnic groups. Languages of Belgium on number of carriers. The Dutch language -60%, French -40%, German less than 1%. After independence, finding Belgium was the Franco-Ravani state, and French, though Flemings always made most of the population, was the only state language at first. Even in Flanders, French long time remained the only language of secondary and higher education. After completion of World War I in Belgium, the movement for emancipation of the Nederlanders ethnic population began. So-called language fight resulted. Taalstrijd. Fight began to bear fruits by 60th years of the 20th century. In 1963, the package of laws regulating use of languages in official situations was adopted. In 1967, the official translation of the Constitution of Belgium into Dutch was for the first time published. By 1980, both main languages of the country were actually balanced in the rights. In 1993, Belgium was divided into the regions, which are territorial subjects of the Federation. The only official language in the territory of the Flemish region is Netherlands. Despite the achieved success, language problems still lead to escalation of tension between two main groups of the population of the country. Thus, in 2005, the problem of division of the bilingual constituency of Brussels-Holvilvoorde nearly led to resignation of the government and a political crisis. The most important ethnic minority of Belgium, Germans. Their number makes about 7,000 people. Places of compact accommodation of Germans. In the east of Wallonia. Were a part of the German language community, having big autonomy, first of all in questions of culture. The largest groups of migrants, Italians, natives of the Democratic Republic of the Congo. The former Belgian Congo. Natives of Turkey and also of Morocco and other Arab countries. It agrees to different sources, from 150 to 200,000 migrants from Turkey, whom both ethnic Turks and representatives of the Kurdish minority are among, live in Belgium. Between representatives of two ethnic communities there are skirmishes and the conflicts from time to time. So in April 2006, in the center of Brussels, at the initiative of Kurds, there took place the anti-Turkish demonstration. On the night of April 2, 2007, in the capital of Belgium, near buildings of the headquarters of NATO and the EU, there were collisions between ethnic Turks and representatives of the Kurdish immigrant community. As a result of 7 people were arrested and were traumatized, some more. Everything began with the attack of the Turkish teenagers on small group of the Kurdish youth, the press secretary of the Bruxelles police Johan Verlian said. Minds the police officers trying to adjust an order, also aggression was directed. According to law enforcement agencies, about 250 people, generally representatives of youth, participated in street collisions. During riots, unknown set fire to the cafe, which was considered as the center of the Kurdish community. Then spontaneous meetings were organized. The conflict situations in Belgium connected with interethnic opposition are an acute political issue from which exit isn't found yet. Also, Spaniards, Greeks, Poles and people of other nationalities live in Brussels. As of 2016, 69.8% of the population of Belgium were made by indigenous people, 16.5% immigrants of the first generation, and 13.7% immigrants of the second generation. As of 2019, By estimates of the Union, 2 million immigrants making 17.2% of the population of the country lived in Belgium. In Belgium 4% of the population are made by people of non-European origin. 19% of the charges considered in courts and 24% of the offenses committed by minors concern people of non-European origin. When the foreign origin, instead of nationality, began to be used as criterion, data grew to 28% and 44% respectively. The sources and specified 347 days. In 2002 there was a certain polemic on this matter when the Muslim teenager was found guilty of robbery and murder, but received only a warning from court. Such judgment was repealed and protests ceased. Serious problems in safety are especially relevant for administrative regions in Brussels where the real income of the population very low. These are generally areas in which immigrants from North Africa live. Brussels, on various sources, such as Interpol and local newspapers, is considered one of the centers of radicalization of the population and recruitment of people in the terrorist organizations, such as Al-Qaeda. Recruitment usually happens in mosques to the subsequent main preparation in Afghanistan. In 2005 the suicide bomber in Iraq, Muriel Degauque, became known as the first terrorist of the Western origin in the history of modern terrorism. She trained not in Brussels and in Charleroi, the Belgian city with one of the biggest indicators of crime. Belgium also saw crimes because of racial hatred against minorities, including Hans van Temsche business and other violent acts on the racial soil, revealing relevance of this problem and concern of Belgians in a racial question. The French police believe that not less than 3 of 11 main suspects of partnership in commission of terrorist attacks in Paris occur on November 13, 2015 from or lived in Belgium. In the morning on March 22, 2016 in Brussels there was a series of terrorist attacks. 3 explosions took place at the airport and the subway. As a result of not less than 34 people died and more than 250 were wounded. According to data of the World Factbook, the structure of the population of Belgium on religion as of 2009. 50% Catholics, 2.5% Protestants and other Christians, 5.1% Muslims, 0.4% Jews, 0.3% Buddhists, 9.2% atheists, 32.6% the others. The Constitution of Belgium guarantees freedom of worship. Teaching religion. Early replacing courses. At comprehensive schools takes about 7% of all school hours. A set of the offered religions varies depending on preferences of pupils. In the presence at school of 7 and more persons interested to study a certain religion, the school is obliged to provide the necessary teacher to provide the replacing course. The maintenance of a course in many respects depends on preference of the specific teacher, but some faiths standardize the courses. For example, the program of Unorthodox Christianstvo included the fundamentals of orthodoxy taught by Orthodox Church. As well as in other obligatory objects, pupils take examination in fundamentals of religion, and following the results of training a mark in the certificate is given. In case of unwillingness to study religion, the choice of a course of morals or a course of philosophy and civil liability. Philosophy et citoyenneté is possible. Feature of cultural life of Belgium is the lack of the uniform cultural field. Actually, cultural life concentrates within language communities. In Belgium there is no nationwide television, newspapers and other Massachusetts media. Also there are no bilingual universities, except for Royal Military School and the large scientific or cultural organizations. In Renaissance, Flanders became famous for the painting Flemish primitives. Is later in Flanders Rubens. In Belgium, Antwerp is still often called the city of Rubens. Lived and created. However, to the second half of the 17th century, Flemish art gradually fell into decay. Later in Belgium, painting in styles of Romanticism, Expressionism and Surrealism developed. The famous Belgian artists James Ensor. Expressionism and Surrealism. Constant Permec. Expressionism. Leon Spiliart. Symbolism. Franz Richard Unterberger. Romanticism. Huy Huygens. René Magritte, who is considered as one of the most important representatives of Surrealism. On June 2, 2009 in Brussels, the new museum of the Belgian artist Surrealist René Magritte opened. 1898-1967. The exposition included about 250 works, thus, it became the most representative in the world. The museum was placed in a complex of Royal Museums of Fine Arts. In literature, division according to the language principle is much stronger than everything. French-speaking literature gravitates to the French tradition that is connected in particular with the fact that in Belgium many French writers worked. For example, Baudelaire. The situation with literature of Flanders is more difficult. In the 19th century, literature of Flanders broke up into two currents. Representatives of one wrote in French, the second in Netherlands. It is possible to call works of representatives of the first current typically Belgian literature, as emergence of such literature wouldn't be possible in the monolingual country. The most famous work of this group, Legend of Till Eulenspiegel and Lamgoedzeeg, written by Fleming Charles de Coster. Nowadays this book is translated to a set of languages and got the nickname, Bible of Flanders. However, the most part of French-speaking Flemish literature is nowadays forgotten. And the more so to the French it isn't interesting to Walloons, and Flemings don't read it in connection with the gone down level of knowledge of French. Earlier, when French was the only state language, his knowledge was necessary. Now Dutch in the rights with French. Representatives of the second group generally were supporters of emancipation of Flanders and often were nationalists. The most famous representative of this group, the poet Guido Gezelle. He opposed not only French, but also accepted in the Netherlands of option of Dutch. His verses are written on a West Flemish dialect and aren't always well clear to present Flemings. Some famous Belgian poets. Guido Gezelle. I wrote in West Flemish. Emile Vercairn. The Fleming wrote in French. Maurice Maeterlinck. The Fleming wrote in French. Flemish literature of the 20th century developed in parallel and came under influence of the international literary processes. So Cyril Baez was a naturalist, and Steenstruy and Felix Timmermans are close to Neo-Romanticism. The poet-expressionist Paul van Ostaaien, writers Gerard Valskap, Willem Elschot and Marnix Gaysen were significant authors of the period between the First and Second World Wars. During World War II there were first novels by magic realists of Johan Dan and Hubert Lampo. The period after her termination was marked by Anton van Wilderode and Christine de Can's verses and novels by Louis Paul Boon. The most outstanding figure of this time is the poet and writer Hugo Claus, who was repeatedly joining in lists of applicants for the Nobel Prize on Literature. In the 1960th Eddie van Vliet and Herman de Koning debuted, Ivo Mikkels and Paul de Vispelaar wrote. In the 1980th Louis Paul Boon's tradition was carried on by Monica van Pamel and Walter van den Broek. New names of the time: Christine Hemmerichs and Erika de Chipera, Paula Costa and Anna Provost included, Zieth Gerards and Stefan Hertmans. Terry Tom Lanwa and Herman Bruce Elmans to generation of the 1990th. Belgium, one of the largest centers of the French-language comic book. Bande dessinée. At the beginning of the 20th century exactly there was the most intensive development of this genre. The world popularity was gained by the artist and the screenwriter Urschi, who created a series of comic books about the reporter traveler Tintin. In post-war years France, however, became the center of the industry, and in Belgium large publishing houses, such as Le Lombard and Dupuis, continued to release the popular D8 series. Among the most known, Smurfs, Torgal, Lucky Luke. In Belgium many outstanding examples of architecture remained, beginning from Romance style, the 11th century, and to an Art Nouveau, the beginning of the 20th century. The most famous Belgian architect, Victor Horta, 1861-1947. One of the most important architects of an Art Nouveau. The most interesting cities in the architectural relation: Bruges, Ghent, Antwerp, Brussels, Mechelen. In Wallonia many interesting examples of suburban architecture, blocks, rural estates are located. Belgium is famous for the kitchen. Many highly ranged restaurants can be found in very influential gastronomic guides, such as Red Guide Michelin. The Belgian food, as well as Belgium, represents a mix of the German and Latin influence. Belgians deserve reputation of fans of wafers and fried potatoes. Both of these dishes arose in Belgium. National dishes: fried meat with salad and fried mussels. Brands of the Belgian chocolate and praline. Kind of candies, such as Calbot, Côte d'Ivoire, Neuhaus, Leonidas, Gillian and Godiva, are known around the world and widely are on sale. The country makes more than 500 brands of beer. History of some of them contains 400-500 years. The Confederation of the Belgian Brewers exists since the 16th century. More than 300 years her headquarters is located in the ancient mansion on the Grand Place in Brussels, here the museum with detailed expositions. In November 2016 UNESCO included in the World Heritage List the culture of brewing in Belgium. Telecommunications are in Belgium at very high level. Infrastructure of mobile communication, television, internet, radio is developed. The domain of Belgium on the internet. B. In Belgium there are 61 internet service providers. They serve 5.1 million internet users. Data for 2004. In 1998 in Belgium there were 79 FM radio stations, 7 AM stations and 1 shortwave station. 8.075 million students of radio were served. In 1997 there were 25 television stations and 10 repeaters. At the moment when 4.72 million TZ were acquired countrywide. The level of functional literacy is overcome, is share competent among adult population -98%. In Belgium education is included into competence of communities. The Flemish community supervises education respectively in a Nederlandse part of the country, and the French community is competent of issues of education for a French-speaking part of Belgium. Quantity of institutions of professional education. Average and the highest. About 380. Higher educational institutions and the universities of Belgium entered the system of the Bachelor-Master from 2004-2005 academic years. Before there was a higher education system, namely a basic course of 1 cycle, a basic course of 2 cycles and the academic course, but it was cancelled. The higher education organized on type the Bachelor-Master is divided into 2 types. Higher education is limited to courses of bachelor's and master's and is offered at 22 higher schools. The academic education consists of courses of the bachelor and master. The academic education can be got at the universities and institutes/colleges. Catholic University at Leuven, Ghent University. Costs of healthcare make 9.6% of GDP, of them 71.4% from the state sources, 28.6% from private. 2005. The Ministry of Social Welfare of Belgium is engaged in social protection of the population. The standard retirement age makes 65 years. Since 2025 it is planned to be raised to 66, and since 2030, to 67 years. The Belgian Railroad became the first in continental Europe. Still railway transport is popular. In 2009 the railroads transported more than 220 million passengers. Roads. Total length 149,018 km. About 4.38 km by 1 km. Areas 2002. Highways 1729 km. Regional roads km. The others km. Waterways make 2043 km. Km are regularly used for commercial purposes. Pipes under crude oil make 161 km. Oil products of 1167 km. Natural gas of 3300 km. Seaports. Antwerp, one of the biggest ports of the world. Bruges. Zeebrugge, Sea Bruges. One of the largest ports of Europe. Ghent. Ostende. Internal ports. Brussels Liege. Armed Forces of Belgium were formed in 1830. Total number of the acting military structure for 2012 totals 34,000 people. 32,000 soldiers and 2,000 civil servants. The Commander-in-Chief is the King Philippi. Since July 21, 2013. Military age -18 years. The budget of armed forces, Euro 3.4 billion. 2008. The share of versus makes 1.3% of GDP of Belgium. Armed forces are organized in one joint structure which consists of 4 main components. Land troops are army. Air troops are air forces. Navy. Medical component of troops. Expeditious command of military components to accountably personnel department on operations and preparation at the Ministry of Defense, which is headed by the Assistant to Committee of Chiefs of Departments on Operations and Preparation and also the Minister of Defense. On July 25, 1921, the Belgian-Luxembourg Economic Union was created. Later the Netherlands joined the Union. In 1932 the countries concluded the tripartite agreement on gradual reduction of economic and customs barriers. The contract on establishment of the customs union the Benelux countries was signed on September 5, 1944 by the deported governments of 3 countries in London and came into force in 1948. The union existed till November 1, 1960, when he was replaced with the Economic Union the Benelux countries as a result of signing of the contract in The Hague on February 3, 1958. On April 4, 1949, Belgium entered as the founder country the North Atlantic Treaty Organization, NATO, with the headquarters in Brussels. On April 18, 1951, Belgium together with 5 European countries signed the Constitutive Treaty of European Coal and Steel Community, EXC. In 1957, 6 states, including Belgium, founded the European Economic Community, the Common Market. In 1993, officially renamed into the European Community, EC, and European Atomic Energy Community. In 1964, Belgium joined the Group of 10. The Schengen Agreement initially was signed on June 14, 1985 with 5 European states: Belgium, the Netherlands, Luxembourg, France, Germany. It came into force on March 26, 1995. The headquarters of supervisory body the European Free Trade Association, EFTA, and headquarters of the European Commission are in Brussels. The European Parliament holds plenary sessions in Strasbourg and Brussels. The Economic and Social Committee, advisory body of the EU, gathers in Brussels once a month. The plenary sessions of Committee of Regions of the EU take place in Brussels 5 times a year. Belgium joined the Global Initiative of Suppression of Acts of Nuclear Terrorism in June 2007. In Belgium, 12 official public holidays. 2 of them always drop out on Sunday. Holiday date: New Year on January 1. Easter changes: Easter Monday, the first Monday after Easter. Labor Day on May 1. Ascension, the 6th Thursday after Easter. The Trinity Sunday, the 7th Sunday after Easter. Whit Monday, the 8th Monday after Easter. National Day of Belgium on July 21. Rise of the Mother of God on August 15. All Saints' Day on November 1. Armistice Day on November 11. Christmas on December 25. On July 21, the National Day of Belgium. The main holiday of the country is celebrated. This day in 1831 Leopold I took the oath to the Belgian Parliament on fidelity of the Constitution. This day in Brussels the military parade, Grand Place, is held, and in Ghent there takes place the large street festival of dances and music. The informal holidays celebrated in Belgium. Holiday date: Epiphany on January 6. Street. Valentine's Day on February 14. Day of Flemish Community in Belgium on July 11. Day of the French Community in Belgium on September 27. Put all deceased true on November 2. Day of the German Community in Belgium on November 15. King's Holiday on November 15. Day of Saint Nicolas on December 6. Other simple access in the geographical plan to Belgium does a trip of almost all European countries by a popular tourist route there. In 2005-06, 7 million people made a trip to Belgium. 2/3 of all tourists arrived from the most close located countries: France, the Netherlands, Germany and Great Britain. The industry of tourism produces 2.8% of GDP of Belgium. About $10 billion US. And 3.3% of able-bodied population. Card people. Employ. In 1993, 2% of all able-bodied population were engaged in the tourist industry. It is less than in neighboring countries. Most of all tourism prospers on the coast, which is well developed in respect of infrastructure, and in Ardennes, Brussels and views of Flanders, Bruges, Ghent and Antwerp attract a great number of the tourists who are interested in culture. Belgium took the 21st place in the list on competitiveness in the sphere of travel and tourism, presented at the International Economic Forum of 2007. According to the list, Belgium stood below the neighboring countries. In recent years, the number of foreign tourists remains almost invariable, but income which tourists bring increased to $9.863 billion US for 2005. The soccer and cycling are the most popular sports among Belgians. The Belgian goalkeeper Jean-Marie Pfaff is recognized as one of the greatest goalkeepers in the history of soccer. Eddy Merckx is considered one of the greatest cyclists of the world. Atom is on the account of 5 victories on Tour de France and a large number of other awards in cycling. His record of speed for an hour was set in 1972 and held on the first place of 12 years. Belgium gave to sport of 2 tennis players who quickly won first place in the world, Kim Clijsters and Justine Henin, and it is a lot of other athletes prize winners. In Belgium there passes the Grand Prix on an auto racing in the class Formula 1 in the town of Spa. The Belgian route is one of the most known in the world, and it is pleasant both to racers and fans. Also, the Belgian racing drivers are known: Jacques X, Thierry Batson, Bertrand Gachot, François Duval, Olivier Gendebien and many others. In 1920 the Summer Olympic Games took place in Antwerp. In 2000 in Belgium and the Netherlands the European Football Championship was held. In 2018 on the FIFA World Cup in Russia the national team of Belgium took the third place. In the European Championship in 2021 -2020 Belgium lost in a quarter-final to Team of Italy, future winners of a tournament. Also far. Write comments. Read comments. Interesting people will tell interesting stories. All of good mood and good luck.